A True Democracy / People Power Online Voting Guide 4. Chapter 1. We create an online voting agency to replace the Senate. Create a prosperous human race. 1. Can human beings create a prosperous human race where everyone is taken care of, where the bounty of the earth is shared? People can still be greedy and live in material excess, but at the same time, everyone gets a modest income. It's easy. Get rid of the elitists who rule the world through the world banking system by getting rid of the private central banks in almost every country that creates money out of nothing to lend to national governments, keeping them in debt and the people enslaved through taxes. Bill Still explains it in The Money Masters on YouTube. They explain it at goldsilver.com too. See the YouTube channel Gold Silver. Governments in every country, meaning you the people, can take back your power by getting rid of your privately owned central bank. Create your own central bank and create your own money. Don't borrow it from private banks who create bonds and money out of thin air, then lend it to their governments at compound interest through the process called fractional reserve banking, which is probably the biggest con ever perpetrated on the human race. This is the fraud that keeps us down, because the government makes you pay taxes to pay the interest on this debt. The debt is so high now that it will never be paid off. The kicker is that the Federal Reserve created a blip on a screen to create that money while you have to sweat and work to pay income tax, so your government at least pays on the interest of the massive debt, which for the United States, you can see it. usdebtclock.org. After this, the people vote away or greatly minimize their military and security agencies through an online voting agency. Almost every politician is pro-military because they want people in the military and making money off it to vote for them. The only way to get rid of the military is a national referendum like this one. Get the people to vote online on this bill. What should the military budget be? Increase it by 10%. Keep it the same. Reduce it by 25%. Reduce it by 50%. Reduce it by 75%. Reduce it by 90%. Reduce it by 95%. Get rid of the military, keep a national air rescue system of helicopters and search planes, keep the Coast Guard for rescue. The banks, the war manufacturing companies, the media, and the big-time drug dealers are one big family united by power and money. They're a loose-in crowd devoted to keep their money and power by keeping everyone else downtrodden. The CIA starts wars in order to earn money through their war machine and their drug empire. If you don't believe me, type these two terms into any search engine. Dave Emery CIA. Ted Gunderson CIA. They're united with organized crime, big-shot bankers, corporate CEOs, and other shakers and movers, all working together for their own power and money, not for the people. This is the way high-status evil people operate. They want to control of the human race. They call them globalists, people who want to get rid of countries to create one world government because this would make it easier for them to control everybody. This is also tied into Satanism. Lucifer, the fallen angel in Genesis chapter 6, wants to control the entire human race. That's the fight which he will eventually lose according to the book of Revelation, but he doesn't know that. I've followed the stories of at least 5 people who said they were involved in a high-powered satanic cult that operates at a high level in society to the point of human sacrifices. They are Ronald Bernard, John Todd aka Lance Collins, Jay Parker, Zachary King, Nathan Reynolds. The politicians are puppets to these high-level rulers. The obedient politicians get rewarded. The truly good ones who want to help the people either get smeared in the media, get very little campaign money, get threatened or killed, as with JFK and Lincoln. The brave activists who really want to help humanity have to take on one simple big idea: work for the big change to the online voting agency in your country. This is the only way that you're going to topple the power structure short of having your own army. The way for real change comes down to the people uniting and demanding a new form of government called the online voting agency in any country to replace at least one chamber of their government. We, the people, need a simple, feasible, definite, realistic plan to change the world in a big way by changing our governments from representative democracies controlled by politicians and elitists to true democracy. We rule ourselves through online voting alongside an elected chamber plus a president or prime minister. Each of these three chambers can generate ideas. The elected chamber and the president can't do anything big or major without the people voting on it online. This includes the big items in the budget. The people can easily vote on the big items in the annual budget by voting in percentiles like: should we continue to spend the same amount on the Central Intelligence Agency as last year? Reduce its budget by 25%. Reduce its budget by 50%. Reduce its budget by 75%. Reduce its budget by 90%. Get rid of it, it's Abbott institution that doesn't help the people. Create a prosperous human race too. Create a great, prosperous human race country by country. First, we bring true democracy in by getting and passing a referendum to replace the Senate with true democracy, the online voting agency ruled by the people online. After that, we start creating ideas and voting on them to dismantle the bad things governments have been doing since the beginning of the human race, where a few people always controlled everything and started the wars, usually with some lying propaganda about fighting for freedom, when the truth is that wars are about power and money for a few people at the top of the heap. This is the big idea to change the world in a big way with a few simple moves. All it needs is publicity and a viral push by the people to unite, march on your government building and demand an online referendum to replace the Senate with the People Power program. Several high-profile activist-type people in any country with lots of supporters hold a press conference demanding the government hold an online referendum by creating the website something like epub.gov, where the nation's citizens will vote on whether they want this new system of online voting. A people power democracy is a chamber where the people rule themselves through an online voting system. In the affairs of men and women, if the rulers refuse a reasonable request by the people to change their government to a more democratic system, then you have the right to fight them and topple them to set up your better government. You have righteousness on your side. Unite the many activist organizations and concerned citizens in your area by creating an email list and/or Twitter account, then send everybody emails instructing them on where and when to protest and what else to do to fight. All those people who occupied the streets in the Occupy protests of the past did a great thing to prove we have some power as people, but we have to focus it specifically on this issue. Get the government to set up an e-voting website, epub.gov. The first vote will be: should we replace the Senate with the People Power program, an online voting agency where the people will create new ideas for the betterment of the country and vote on them online. They will also vote on the big bills created by the Congress and the President. Yes. No. Start a people power, true democracy, or online voting party and run in your elections. Create a prosperous human race. 3. We, the people, can unite and protest all the time non-stop until our leader sets up an electronic voting system and we all vote online on the following issue. Do you want to abolish the Senate, or other secondary chamber, and adopt the People Power program to where the people will create ideas and vote on them online to set the future course of the country? Have the guts to protest until the People Power program becomes the law of the land. We don't have to wait for one election every 4 years to choose between Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Our elections aren't about good ideas anymore. They're about the guy with the most money to spend on advertising and willing to do dirty tricks to smear the other guy. Our elections are about trying to get people to hate the other guy. Most countries have 2 chambers or parliaments, like a House and Senate, or a parliament and a Senate. I'm saying getting rid of one of these bodies and replace it with the online voting agency where the people vote on the big issues that the President, the House, and they the people, come up with. Unite, demand a referendum to change the government from the representative governments that now rule us to a new form of government where the people rule issue by issue through online voting. This system can be called either the People Power Program, True Democracy, Online Voting Agency. If the government doesn't create this referendum, we surround the main government building, take over the government by virtue of the number of people right there united together, and set up the referendum ourselves. We run the referendum. If it passes, we move to a new form of government where the people create and vote on all the new ideas from now on. This is how we get rid of the military and banking forces that run the world right now. The people rule by creating ideas and voting on them online. We vote the military away and use that energy and money on projects to help the people. The government takes control of the money. In a sovereign nation, the government has the right to create its own money. We won't borrow it anymore from those crooked bankers who created the scheme where the government borrows its money from private banks, either a privately run central bank or private chartered banks. The national government of every nation will create its own central bank and chartered bank that will offer better interest rates on savings accounts and lower interest rates on loans than the existing banks, with the express intent of setting up branches everywhere until we put the private banks out of business. After all, they create money out of nothing through fractional reserve banking. It's an unfair advantage that makes them rulers over the people without firing a shot. They did it by fooling the people with this evil banking system we have now. Every time any bank makes a loan, the cost to them is the paper for the bond or contract, the labor to write it up and the electricity to put the credit into the computer. The face value of the loan is pure 100% profit, plus they want compound interest on top of it. The people altogether should get the benefits of fractional reserve banking, not a few elitist bankers who get filthy rich then have the arrogance and the power to do whatever they want. Chapter 2. Some People Power Program Issues. Voting on the budget. There's an easy way to vote on the budget by voting increments on how much money to spend per item: 100%, 75%, 50%, 25% or 0. An easy way to get rid most of the military, the security agencies and other useless government agencies is to set up votes something like: what should we do with the military budget? Increase it by 10%. Keep it the same. Reduce it by 25%. Reduce it by 50%. Reduce it by 75%. Reduce it by 90%. Get rid of it. Keep a helicopter and airplane network for search and rescue. The PPP eliminates the slowness of getting things done. With people power, the people decide on everything with a quick vote. A vote becomes law right away. The tedium of studying issues for years on end in committee, then having 3 bodies vote on it, is gone. There's a bill, a vote, then it becomes law.